Hey, this is Chris, and we're in front of the CME UF keyboards called the UF8. There's several in the range. There's all different types, all different styles, everything to suit everybody else. But this one is the 88-note controller, and it's a hammer action controller. So there's several different types. This is hammers, so actually it feels very much like a piano. Well, let's put it on a better sound that we can actually hear this thing. You'd normally have it on a piano sound, but we'll just pick a unison synthesizer sound here. We'll turn it up a bit. So what it really feels like is a very kind of like a bouncy action. So it's just like a piano. There are things called semi-weighted, which have a small weight under the spring, and then there's just synth action, which just is a spring, no weight at all. So this is the difference. So hammer action, 88 notes, full length keyboard. On the left hand side out of the shot here, you can't quite see, but there's a pitch bend and a modulation. And obviously from this end up we can't really see. You can see an area where I've got the mouse laying. There's nothing actually here. There's just the sheet metal. It's great for putting your keyboard, your typing keyboard, your QWERTY, whatever you want to call it, your mouse and stuff like that. So there's a great lot of room at that end. All of the keyboards actually have most of their controls right here. So that's why we've chose to put the camera in this section here, because all of their keyboards have it right here. So what do we have on the CME? Well, apart from the 88-note hammer action, we have these big old buttons here, which look like an old 80s calculator, but it's basically the door controls for your software. So this is your record, stop, fast forward, play, rewind, and forward and backwards. Very easy to use, quite large, comfortable though. The idea of being is that you feel the fact that you press stop and you know it's pressed. Some of the buttons don't move and you don't know whether you've started, stopped them or anything. You just have to look at visual aids. But here you really feel that they've gone down. On the slider point, you can actually use these to control all of your software. As you can see, this is straight out of the box. I haven't programmed this to do anything. This is just how we plugged it in. You can see that the sliders here move up and down nicely. On the door screen you can see. Obviously this one is just assigned to volume. These out of the box, there's a function knob here to make dual functions on all of these, but out of the box this one says that it's cut off. That'll be the filter cut off. And here we have resonance, attack level, so if you want a slower attack to the sound, a release level, pan position, if you want to patch it through the reverb a bit more. Now remember that all of these sounds that you're hearing are coming from the software you see on the screen and nothing to do with these keyboard. This does do nothing except from send MIDI control codes of what's being played here. In the center I see the display screen in red here, and it says 007. It's not obviously anything to do with the English and the kind of spy movies. It just happens to be the patch that I've got on there. The patch is, you can't see that from the screen here, but it's in red. The patch control here is these buttons here, and I can actually wind this down and to get different sounds. And it's just basically changing the patch on my software. And I obviously can do it with increment, decrement, which is kind of handy. Other things it has, just in case you're a really heavy player here, it has a velocity curve adjustment, which means that if you bang this keyboard really hard, you can change the output that's going down to your computer, so you don't have to have bright sounds just because of the way you play. There's an Aftertouch here as well. That's the stuff that happens after you've hit the key down and you want to press harder. It'll open up a filter or something like that. You've got transposition. You can go up and down in semitones. You can go up in octaves. Now, of course, octave really on an 88 is not much use, but that's obviously used for all the other keyboards that they have, the 61, 76, and so on. Channel control, that's your channel for the MIDI channel that this thing transmits on. I've got it on one at the moment. There's a split and dual layer here, in case you were using this with modules or some software where you want to have a layered sound over on top of each other, or one on, say, bass here and piano here. Kind of handy. At the bottom we've got plugs and stuff for the back here. Obviously I'm running this from the standard everyday USB cable, this one here that they came with, and it's powering from that, although they do give you a wall wart just in case you want to power it from the wall instead of your USB power. The other cable plugged in here, the black one that you can just see me pulling, that's a pedal that I've got plugged in here. Now on piano that would be for the sustain, but of course for synthesizer it's just a hold switch and it just holds the sound until I release it. So that's the kind of way that the pedals work. It's really a very easy to use keyboard. You can do layering stuff like that. On this synth here I can put another sound on my soft synth, and here I can use this as the second layer. Let's see what sort of synth we'll put in there. We'll put something that's very easy, distinct, that we can hear that is different. So we'll pick one of these slower part sounds like this. So that's part sound 1. Sound 2 will stick on the unison poly. So decide on which sound I want to put the background. This is the slow flange sound, and this is the synth again there. So it's very easy to make your sounds up. So it's got a lot of control, a lot of easy stuff to use as far as keyboard control. I found it very easy out of the box. Some of the things other on the back here, as well as the breath controller, you can actually blow in a breath controller unit. The one that they mention is the Yamaha ones, which we have on our website and which works quite well. All you're really doing is you're blowing a mouthpiece to play the note. This would end up, these notes here would end up as being the sort of valves, and then your mouth would actually blow the note. So it creates a much more of a more realistic envelope for things like flutes and saxophones and stuff like that, or used for anything really. Other things on the back is your normal MIDI stuff and things like that, but you can actually expand it. There's a slot on the back where there's an empty piece of plastic which you can undo, and that brings you to plug in a thing like this. This is a expansion board which they make. This one happens to be the called the audio board, and it's got a bit more than just plain old audio, because it's got a Firewire connector which gets you straight in and out of the computer. Let's get a bit closer there. So there's the Firewire connector. Next to that, those two RCAs, that's digital in and out, which is kind of handy if you just want to got digital speakers, which we have in this studio here. There's other little thing that's underneath here is a MIDI switch that says you can go straight out through the keyboard as normal, or 1384 or 1394, sorry. The idea being is that you can send the MIDI down this Firewire port, and you don't have to use the USB as well as, because you could imagine you'd have USB and Firewire at the same time. Would be kind of stupid, but you can choose to put it all down there. The next ones that you see in the shot here are the MIDI. They actually extra MIDI here. You now have MIDI in, out and through. So if you wanted to connect up modules and have another keyboard connected to this, all going down the 1394 into the computer, would be very handy. Next sockets, output left and right, stereo outputs. It's also got two pairs of headphones, two pairs of stereo headphones. Great if you're in a tuition mode and you want a student to have one and you to have one. That's kind of handy. And a volume for the headphones there. The other two sockets are inputs. You've got line in, stereo, and you've got mic guitar in. So they've actually stuck your correct impedance guitar in, which is kind of nice. So all in all, gives you a high bit rate 24, I think it's 24192 if I remember, but you have to check on the website there for the exact figures are there for this expansion board. I think it's called a UF400, this thing. So that just plugs in the back and you screw it in. It's got just a couple of white connectors that connect on the back, and then the screws that hold it into place, and you're done. So I installed one of these and tried it out. Kind of liked it. If you've got a little Mac Mini, which I tried it on, sat it on the end of the keyboard, and then I just plugged the headphones into this, and I was able to play my soft synths right here as if I was playing this as a hardware synth. Kind of nice, because I didn't have to worry about, you know, plugs, keyboard, screens, and being close to the computer and such like. Very nice. They also do things like wireless MIDI expansions and stuff like that, so you can be way away. If you're on stage use, you can use this keyboard miles away from your, well, not miles, but you know, a long distance away from your computer. That makes sense to me if you don't want to carry cables all the way back. Although you still have to plug it into power of some sort, because you're not going to get the USB or anything that distance. But that's kind of a handy feature. So really, this is kind of well covered, well constructed. This is one now going to be for our studio, because we dropped this one out of the box on the concrete. We've cracked the ends, which are plastic. The ends are plastic, but the rest is sheet and wood. So we connected that all together, and it still works. So it can't be better than that. It's obviously a very strong, solid product. So this is Chris again from Florida Music. If you want to check out more of these keyboards, go on our website, put CME into the search box, and we'll catch you later on the next one. Thank you.